Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Monday, still April 4th, 2022, and this is my post-market wrap-up. I'm going to cover a bunch of stuff with you here, and I'm going to ask you before I even finish to share this video, people. I'm going to tell you a few things that I believe you're going to find quite interesting. Let's start off with the markets as I usually do. A very volatile day. I explained to you early in my pre-market report that there was a little bit of a safety trade going on. There was even a fear trade that was playing out during the day. That is, we witnessed the 10-year yield come down, stronger dollar, stocks sold off. Nothing major, but the Dow was lower, S&P was lower earlier today. We turned all that around and finished in the positive, despite the fact that crude oil put on over 4% today. 4%. Now let's talk about that real quick. What's going on here? Well, we understand that just recently, and I'm going to be nice, our president did order that 1 million barrels of crude oil be released per day from the strategic reserves. I explained to you that this would be nothing but a band-aid. Well, it's not even working. It's not even a band-aid. We're still hemorrhaging here with crude oil, again, surging over 4% today. Look, this whole thing is a game. Once you understand that, it's literally a game, you're going to have a new perspective on this. How I explained this to you, this strategic reserve release, was very simple. We have an economy here in the United States that uses 20 million barrels per day. Our president patting himself on the back repeatedly because he really wants to help the people, said he would release 1 million barrels per day, which is, again, in an economy that uses 20 million a day. Did he really think that it was going to make any difference at all? Nobody on this planet is that stupid. Maybe he is, but not you. Right off the bat, I told you it would do nothing. It would be maybe a band-aid. It wasn't even a band-aid. It's proven to be a big fat zero, and people are going to be paying a lot more, a hell of a lot more, for energy, for food. People, just be ready for it. You know, I want to bring something to your attention here that I want you to see with your own two eyeballs. Okay, this guy sitting here and you, we have discussed at length for I don't know how long that the Fed is going to continue to inflate, and then inflate some more, and then tell you that they are very serious this time about fighting inflation. Now, we understand that the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, that is the debt on its books, is ballooning at its fastest pace ever. We have inflation surging at its fastest pace ever. Now, what else is going on? How else can Greg Mannarino prove to you that the Federal Reserve has no desire at all to stop surging inflation? Well, this is a chart right off the Federal Reserve's own website of the money supply. What do you notice here? Do you see any drop? Okay, no. The Federal Reserve continues to balloon the money supply. Now, I'm going to use the Federal Reserve Chairman's own words that inflation is largely a monetary policy issue. Do you see the Fed fighting inflation at all? I don't. Again, it's a game. Once you understand what's going on, this is going to be easy for you to get. The Fed is the enemy, okay? Forget about wars or anything else notwithstanding. The Federal Reserve is public enemy number one. Number one, okay? And they're destroying the people of the United States. They are destroying the people of the world via this inflation mechanism. They continue to tax them, this inflation tax, which is about to get much, much greater here. We have the current administration here in the United States. All they're talking about is more spending, more spending, more spending. And where does the cash come from, people? You need another look at it? Okay. The Fed is going to continue to balloon the money supply, balloon the debt that it's issuing. I've explained to you for years, the Fed is issuing debt through one door, buying it back through another door. Issuing debt through one door, buying it back through another door. This process is massively inflationary, and I'm still waiting for one of our loving, caring representatives to explain that to the American people, and they won't, because it's a game, and you are being played on a massive scale here. And people are going to suffer. They're going to suffer like they cannot possibly imagine moving forward. When is action going to be taken? Really, when? I don't know, because I think people are sitting back here that have been lulled into some kind of a sense of acceptance, some sense of compliance. Why do you think they forced you to wear this, to take this, and everything else? They want to see if you're going to comply, and people have complied. And this is part of complying, people. If we don't do something, we are all complicit here. What do you want to do? You want to arrange some kind of a movement on the Fed? We'll get squashed. They'll probably kill us all. Look, we must all, I guess, be ready to die for a good cause. And this is just getting so grossly out of control. All the lies, all the distractions, all the propaganda. Oh, it's Russia. Really? Is this from Russia? Really? Huh? The Fed's balance sheet ballooning, that's from Russia too. The spending coming out of our government here and our puppet president, that's from Russia too. It's all the war, all this that started way before. You see, you're being lied to yet again. That's all they do. Lies, distractions, misinformation. You got to be kidding me. Look, I'm getting bent out of shape here, people, but it's just so true. We have a lot more stuff to talk about. I just want you to visually understand what's happening to you. This is happening to you. This is an incredible thing. This is going back to October of 2020. And this is the latest data here. And it's just continuing with no end in sight here. The Fed is continuing to balloon the money supply. Let me ask you while we're on that topic. How does a dollar, whether it's digital or printed out of thin air, how does it get its value? Do you believe, for example, that the moment the Federal Reserve adds a digit to a screen or prints a lovely dollar out of thin air that it's automatically worth a dollar? How about no? That is not how it works. How it does work, every dollar added, okay, in order to gain some kind of purchasing power, must literally steal value, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of value from every other existing bill, and no matter what form it exists in, whether it's a printed bill or whether it's a digit added to a screen. So as this continues, as the Fed continues to balloon the money supply, add debt to its balance sheet, every dollar they create has to steal value from every other existing bill in whatever form it exists. And what does that do? Well, again, in the words of our illustrious crime syndicate known as the Federal Reserve, and the chairman said it's largely a monetary issue. Yes, it is. Inflation is largely a monetary issue. So they have no interest at all, as I've explained to you forever now, in stopping inflation. In fact, they're going out of their way, I'll show you again, to create it. Go to the Fed's website. Look at their balance sheet. It looks exactly the same as they inflate the money supply, people. Let me ask you, what do you intend to do about it? You maybe going to share this video? You're going to start talking to people about this stuff here? I don't think it'll matter, and I agree. I think most of you is probably thinking it won't matter what I do, and you're probably right, because people have, again, been lulled down into a crazy, kind of a dumbed-down state, and they continue to be lied to. And the moment they hear or see a piece of truth, they lash out. They hate the person that is telling the truth, because they've been so conditioned to being lied to that the moment they hear truth, they can't handle it, and they lash out. Anyway, I want you to be aware of these things. So again, strategic reserve release amounted to zero, just as you and I knew it would. I don't care what they do. It won't matter. And this was just, again, this was a moment in the freak president's mind here, whatever's left of it, to try to make you believe, again, it's all a distortion of the truth, that he really cares about you. None of them do. They don't work for you. You have no representation anymore. You are just a piece of excrement floating out to sea, surging out to sea. That's all you are to these people. You're a means to an end. And most people are just freaking useful idiots. You know that? That's what they are. Not you. You are well aware of what's going on here. How about this? We got some great economic news. Factory orders fall 0.5% in February. Factory orders fall 0.5% in February. That's because our economy is so strong and we're booming. And that's why the Federal Reserve continues to balloon the money supply and hyperinflate the debt bubble and everything else going along because we're doing so great. Make any of this stuff up, people. Make it up. Anyway, so going back to the market real quick. Volatile day. We ended up putting on gains. NASDAQ was the biggest gainer today with crude oil surging. You got the 10-year yield, about 2.4% stronger dollar. Gains were muted, obviously, on the back of that stronger dollar. How the dollar is getting stronger, again, we're talking about the relative strength of the dollar, not the absolute strength. Because you see, what is happening to the absolute strength is this. Every time the Fed is printing or creating cash out of thin air, it loses purchasing power. And who pays for it? You do. So what are you going to do about it? That's what I want to know. Start a blog like I do, like I have done many years ago. I'm telling you, start a blog and I will help promote it for you. It's so sick, isn't it, people? All right, so let us move forward here a little bit. So, actually this is interesting. We understand that there are states here in the Union, the United States, who are planning out, basically handing out cash to people so they can deal with, situations like like this, okay, because they can't make ends meet. Our economy is so strong and we're all rich and people are doing so great. By state governments, the federal government actually handing cash out to people, all it's doing is exacerbating the problem. It's making inflation much worse. And there goes the useful idiots. Okay? They're going to make you dependent on the state. That's what they are doing. They are creating slaves. And people are willing because they're so greedy and they're grasping for things. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. And all it's doing is exacerbating the problem. Honestly. And it's a very successful program they've instituted here. I want you to think about it. Anyway, that's pretty much it, people, where we stand today. And I want to hear from you. Understanding that we are in an environment where inflation is about to get so much worse. What are you doing about it? And what do you think people should be doing about it? Should we write a letter to our senators? Should we, I don't know, storm the Federal Reserve? You see, look. The useful idiots stormed the wrong building, okay? They stormed the Capitol, the useful idiots. They should have stormed the Federal Reserve, okay? Period. But no, okay? The distractions, the misinformation, look, your vote don't count. Did you really think it would? If your vote counted, you wouldn't be allowed to vote, okay? They're just stringing everybody along. And that's all this is, a freak show, like I have told you for freaking years. All right, look, I don't know what else there is to say here, people. But really, okay, transitory inflation, that didn't work out. Let's release oil from the strategic reserves. That didn't work out. Let's print cash out of thin air. Let's balloon the money supply. Let's balloon the debt. And we really want to fight inflation. Oh, yeah. President Bidenstein, we're really going to do something about inflation this time. Oh, really? What are you going to do about this, you imbecile president? What are you going to do? Huh? Nothing. Zero. Are you ever going to point your finger at the Federal Reserve? No. You're going to point your finger at Russia. It's their fault. It's their fault for everything, again, they need a scapegoat. So I think they've chosen it, and they're going to try to convince people that that's what it is now. You see, this has all been well planned out a long time ago. And central banks, they got the world by the throat. They have you by the throat. They have me by the throat. And they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop until millions of people die. Millions of people die. Tens of millions. So, are you going to be one of those dead because of that institution? Well, odds are probably. I want you to think about it. All right, look, I'm out of here. Please share this video. Get it out there. See you in the morning.